Oh, my lungs work again. It's so nice to have a functioning body. Michael Govier is my name. And these are two of my oldest pals, Travis Roy and Eric Brancham. And this is the Cinema 9 podcast. We've done this now for a few years. We love movies. We love talking about movies. We do. Travis, you love film, don't you?
Sure. I think we should start a podcast about it.
Maybe we should. Yeah, I know. We talk about it so much. We should just do it. That's
idea.
what I think we should do.
Yeah.
Eric Brancham, you're my friend. It's great to see you. Happy New Year 2023. Are you excited for this year in film?
I looked at the 2023 releases, and there's a lot of stuff it's weird being a fan like me that usually I have to wait till November to see all the movies that I really, really want to see. So it's almost a year away. I'm not a big blockbuster person, but yeah, there's some good stuff coming, man.
Bye. Well, hey guys, we're going to talk about it all this year and more. Today's focus will be, you can fast forward, by the way, if you're watching this on replay, because we timestamp things now. For the main event, the focus, Michael Clayton, 2007 film, directed by Tony Gilroy. We'll talk about that a little later. Like I said, use the chapters to your pleasure. But in the meantime, we're going to say hello to you. Happy New Year, cinema9pod@gmail.com, 5-star reviews, all that stuff. You know how podcasts work. You know how shows work. We'd love to continue to grow and share with you. If there's any ideas you guys have for us, throw them our way, cinema9pod@gmail.com. Email us or socialize with us on the social medias. Travis, I know you quit Twitter, but we still have a Cinema 9 Pod on Twitter.
We do. I have not checked in at all. I've just completely divorced myself from most social media. It's been great.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'll check in every now and then on Facebook with family, but that's pretty much all I've been doing, and that's pretty rare.
Wow. Yeah. Is this like a concerted effort or just random chance?
When Douchebag took over Twitter and everything started getting sour really fast, I was like, this is not a fun experience. And it really wasn't fun before that.
It's not fun.
It wasn't fun before that. So I enjoyed getting off Twitter so much that I was like, I should kind of get off everything else. But also I wasn't really on much else. That was kind of like my main feed. So since then it's been nice. I picked up a book.
Yeah.
Back down.
You read a book?
I picked it up for a few minutes and I looked at it and went, oh, that's a book. And I set it down and went back to life.
Do you guys, that reminds me, I got a gift. Someone gave me a book for Christmas. It's more of a fun, sitting on the toilet book about baseball. It's big, it's bigger.
Yeah.
It's not like your standard paperback.
Toilet book. Your standard toilet book.
I definitely made a joke about when I opened it, because it was Christmas morning at Leanne's parents' house. I said, I'm going to love this on the toilet. I definitely made a toilet joke. So,
of course you did.
I know it's surprising to some people. But Eric, do you still get gifts on Christmas? Was it fun for you at all, or is that those days over?
Yeah. I'm really excited about Cinema Speculation, Quentin Tarantino's book. I'm going to San Francisco next month, and it's a 5-hour plane ride. So I'm excited to dive back into this, and it's been really good so far. I'm pumped.
You go to San Fran?
Yeah, President's Day weekend. I got 4 days off, so wife and I are like, fuck it. I'd like to check out Bodega Bay where they film The Birds. So we're going to go up to that area and check it out.
Wow. That's fantastic. Yeah. Wow. I've been there once. I visited someday soon guest of the show, Paul Freeling, there back in 2016. And we watched in real time the release of Batman v Superman. Martha!
Wow.
Yeah. We'll always have that, Paul, right? Me, you, and Veronica and Matt watched that horrendous film in 2016 in San Francisco. That's my memory. I drove up from L.A. I flew into L.A. I drove up there, stayed there 36 hours, hauled ass back down the Pacific Highway, left. It was a strange trip. But I don't know is Travis, are you allowed to say San Fran or which one do they hate? I know they hate one of those. You can't say Frisco.
They don't like either one, as I understand it. It's the city.
Oh, sure.
I hear it's just the city.
Okay. Well, I don't want Eric to make a faux pas while he's there. So
I've never been there. So what the fuck do I know? But I have seen things, heard things.
You're not a resident San Francisco expert?
Just gonna make sure I get that watch out for shit app that I understand is a thing. It tells you where there's excrement in the streets. It's an app. It says people chart it, so not to step in it.
So rather than cleaning it up, they just take a picture of it and send it off to an app.
Yeah,
cool. I love the world that we're crafting for ourselves.
Oh, well, hey, man, this is life, and it's something like it. So remember, that we love you. And we're going to talk about Michael Clayton in a little while. But we thought we would mix it up a little bit. We're going to give you our quarantine viewing picks, which is a tradition on this show. For newcomers, that's where we share some movies we've watched recently that we'd like to recommend or shit on. It's up to us individually. But first, how about topical movie discussion? I don't know what we're calling it, but this is a topical movie conversation. What's going on in film lately? What's got our gears churning in our minds here? Travis, I'd like you to open the floor. Can you give me something that you're just thinking about when it comes to film or movies? Something you're excited about or something you saw that was like, oh my God, why is this happening? What is on your mind?
I find it really interesting that there has been a lawsuit that's been recently filed by Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting, who were the teen stars of Romeo and Juliet all the way back in 1968. They have sued the director of that film, Franco Zeffirelli, for the full frontal nudity of certainly of Olivia Hussey. I don't remember Leonard Whiting being naked in that movie, but I do remember. You guys remember watching this movie in like English class? Like I remember watching it
in its entirety, unedited. Yeah. I remember the VHS case. So you must have seen those scenes.
Do you remember anyone hanging dong?
I absolutely remember Olivia Hussey, but I do remember the other fella, butt shot. I don't remember a dong, but still, I mean, it was 15 years old.
Oh, yeah, he was 15 years old. So was she, or maybe 16. They were underage kids, and here they are, decades later. With the climate change being like, hey, we've experienced trauma from this, and the years of people like looking at our bodies and commenting on it in public. So I find it really fascinating that that this has happened. What do you guys think?
Butt scratcher. That's what that made me think of when he said butt. Sorry, I'm immature, but I think it's. They were actually underage, or they were 18 acting as
they were underage. They were
15 and 16.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
full topless shot by Olivia Hussey. I read this story too. I'm interested in the background behind this story. I mean, 50 years. I mean, his litigants have to either be dead or it's just whomever. But I don't know what to think, man. I mean, more power to them. I guess it's some bullshit. I mean, but
yeah. Justice can come slowly, I guess. If it comes at all, it's certainly. I think it says a lot about how standards have changed and how, things that we might think of as acceptable and accepted, even years later, that those cast members might turn around and be like, "Hey, actually, we're suing. We're not thrilled about this. Why did you watch this in your 9th grade English class?" I say, I don't know why.
That's
Mike?
Wow. Okay. Well, shit.
Anything besides butt scratcher?
I got something, but I want Eric to go because I'm going to close it out. I'm going to close this section out.
But that's your commentary for this subject. Okay.
More than butt scratcher. I'm just shocked that even in the 90s that happened because
60s,
it's been pretty. Oh, this is in the 60s?
68.
Are you paying attention to what I'm saying? Yes.
I thought you said 98. I swear I listened to you and I thought you said 1998. I was like, I don't remember that movie. And I just kept listening.
That's why if it happened in 1998, it would have been really hard for us to watch it in 9th grade English class.
That's what I was under the assumption that was happening. Oh my God, I'm stupid. Guys, we don't always get them right here at Cinema 9, but when we get it wrong, we tell it like it is.
All right, so fascinating. Eric, what about you? Any news tidbits?
I'm not blown away by Aaron Taylor Johnson taking on James Bond. This is what everybody's talking about. I mean, it's about to be announced.
I haven't heard that.
And I think this is bullshit. I mean, I've only seen this guy be good once. In Nocturnal Animals, he was fantastic.
Yeah, he's great.
But he was also like completely unlike James Bond, the debonair action star that I'm so. I'm not a huge James Bond fan, but I was really hoping for kind of a surprise on this because this tenure lasts like a long time so just dip into like standard, like hot, like white guy with this fella who's mediocre at best. A little disappointed with this casting choice.
I feel like he's one of those guys that are really trying to make a thing. They're really trying to make like a big celebrity. I'm like, he's okay. He's okay.
He's got connections. He's married to someone. Isn't he married to someone that is of relevance?
Yeah, his wife is a big time director, I guess. But I mean, that's I don't know how many strings she's pulling for him at this point. But yeah, I hadn't heard this news. We'll see if it bears out. But I feel like I just feel like that's not going to happen. I don't know what your sources are. Where have you read this?
Like all my trusted sites are saying that it's the pens are out.
Lots of people are saying.
Lots of people are saying it.
Can you give me a name with the source? Like what are your trusted sites?
Screen Rant, coming soon, /film, Deadline. Like a lot of folks.
Deadline. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's too soon to even start thinking about James Bond again. I think we need to miss him before he comes back so soon. So I'd be cool with like a 5-year break.
But there's never been a break, Eric, has there? In our entire lifetime, aren't we always churning out the next Bond every?
Yeah, with Die Another Day and Casino Royale, I think that was a good 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, at least.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not a Bond guy at all. I'm like the least Bond guy there ever was. As obvious comment coming here that, playing Bond on N64, that was the best Bond experience I'll ever have, Travis. The great times we had at your house.
Wow, wonderful time.
Playing GoldenEye. Those were great times. So James Bond did give me that, and I can't be mad at him for that. Thank you, James Bond, for all the wonderful video game playing that I was allowed to experience with my friends back in the 90s.
Sure. Is James Bond even really a character anymore? I mean, what he was before was like a spy who was also a enthusiastic misogynist, I guess. I don't know what else you would call that side hobby that he had going on. But you kind of take that part out of it, the womanizing, and what do you got? You have a spy for the British Empire, and that's pretty much it.
What do you got?
What do you got?
Yeah, you're right. It's not, Travis, it's not our bag. It's like high class. People love Bond because he's got that lifestyle that people want to live, and we don't give a fuck about that, right?
I'll take Ethan Hunt.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Eric, do you feel, no disrespect to you, I'm not a big Bond guy, so I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking.
I'm not a big Bond guy either, but I mean, I totally get it. He does things that like we could never do, and he also is just like a human being. He's got no superpowers. He's not Batman. He's a guy that does incredible things that are really exciting to watch, and yeah, he beds beautiful women, and that's fun too. I mean,
he used to.
Is that fun? I don't think that's fun. Not anymore.
Now he cries and dies.
I've never seen any of these Daniel Craig Bonds. I've not seen one of these, guys. Full reveal.
Really?
I've not seen a single Daniel Craig Bond. In fact,
Casino Royale is really good.
Casino Royale is so
I bet it is. Is that the one with Mads Mikkelsen?
Yeah.
And
he cries and dies.
Skyfall was good too, but
I bet they're good. I'm not against them. That's how little my desire is for Bond. So, all right. Well, hey, Aaron Taylor Johnson was in a movie that, should have been great. And I liked it when I saw it, but I was also going through drug addiction at the time. A Million Little Pieces, which was the movie based off of the book, which ended up being
scandalous.
Scandalous is a good word, Travis. A Million Little Pieces. Even Oprah ripped A Million Little Pieces, guys. She was pissed. So, yeah, it sucks because it's a movie about addiction based off the book, which ended up being kind of bullshit. So that sucks. But if you take all that out, if you forget about it not being true or lies may have been created in that book, Aaron Taylor Johnson's singular performance in A Million Little Pieces is quite remarkable. So I will say that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's a stretch otherwise, though. So I'm really stretching here. Look, guys, I wasn't here last week, and it's really tragic because we had on Dragon Movie Guy. We strongly encourage you guys follow Brian. He's a great dude. I really wish I could have been on the show because he was in TV news, apparently, and we both had that history. That's fun. Mm-hmm. But, COVID can be a buzzkill for people. And in this day and age, it's not fun anymore. So I wanted to take my moment here. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about, but I wanted to take my moment to kind of give my waiting thoughts here because it's just such a... Travis, you were right. Travis said it on last week's show that you really wish I was on that show because I could have brought another aspect to the table. Brian liked the movie, right? He still said it held up. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
And you two had never seen Waiting. That I actually got the most responses I've gotten in a while for our show from people who randomly hit me up pre-watching or listening to our show, which you can watch.
I'm sure they're very disappointed.
I can't wait for the Waiting show, dude. I'm so hyped. I had the 3 people hit me up about that, and I was like, first, I'm not on it. Yeah, and second of all, 2 of the guys had never seen it until now. So I just want you to be aware that if you love it, you might not love our episode where we reviewed Waiting. I will say, terrible. The homophobia is horrendous, and it's so obvious now. It's like, whoa, yeah, wow, Jesus. it hits you hard. It's so obvious now. But at the same time, they missed a real opportunity because in my experience, as you guys also pointed out on that episode, I had a lot of restaurant experience. I worked at Chili's, I worked at Applebee's, I worked at TGI Fridays. I did all those mothers.
Name them all.
So
name every restaurant you've ever worked in.
I did 2 Chili's and 2 Applebee's. So yeah, I even doubled down in different regions of the country. So I had a lot of experience in those chain franchise restaurants in the 2000s, and Waiting nailed it. But where they missed the opportunity, where they could have been more friendly to people of the, LGBTQ world, is by having a character who is gay. I worked with so many gay people at restaurants. Like, it was really kind of almost, it was dumb. It was like a complete biff by the writer. I know he wrote it out, and he wrote it in the late 90s, and then it got made in 2005. So even if his attitude had changed, there was people that I knew that were openly gay at restaurants, and it was actually a welcome place. There's a lot of homophobia in the world back in 2001 or 2004. But at restaurants that I worked at, there was guys who were openly gay, and they talked about it, and we talked about their lovers, and it was a normal thing. So I think the movie really missed that part big time. That's a really, really missed opportunity. That's something I would say about Waiting.
All right.
I don't think that's a mistake. I think the writer and director clearly is still an immature douchebag who probably doesn't like gay people and didn't want to include them.
I mean, at one point in the film, like one of the characters went out of the way to explain there are no gay people that work at this restaurant. That literally happens in the movie. So
it's true. That is true. You guys are right about that. Yeah, he might. I don't know anything about the motherfucker anymore. I don't know what he's doing. Rob McKittrick, I think his name is. But having said that, I'm going to say the movie holds up because it's so specifically well done of capturing. I can hardly think of a movie, honestly. All the movies we've done, all the movies we talked about, where it really captures a time and a place so succinctly. It really does. It transports me. I throw that movie on, I'm like, holy shit, wow, it is 2003. And I am working at Chili's, and the host is not seating me and screwing me over, and, bus tub pickups and all this stuff. It's so spot on to that life. So for me, that's why Waiting, it's not as funny as I thought it used to be. Ryan Reynolds' shtick was his shtick. You guys covered that. I don't think it's as funny as it used to be, but I think it really does capture that time and place. How it was done and who was included and who wasn't, that's pretty obvious to me, I think, now. But I just, it's a complex world. The world's gray. It's not black and white, man. So that's my opinion. Also, nostalgia is always a huge driver in these decisions, and neither one of you gave a fuck when it came to that part of this film, right?
No fucks.
Yeah. So, okay, that's it. I just want a Dragon Movie Guy. Brian, you're a great guy. We'll definitely have you back on. Please follow him. Check him out on Instagram and YouTube. He's really well spoken. He's got a nice presence. He's got a nice calming presence. Chad Gibbons commented on the video, and he said, "I really like this Brian guy," and I agree with you, Chad. I like that Brian guy too. Good call.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out.
It was fun.
Yeah, that was great. All right, so let's get into quarantine viewing picks now. I'm writing down the time codes in real time so I can make my life easier.
Oh, that's good.
Travis, thanks, buddy. Travis Roy, you have probably watched some things.
Oh man, I watched so many movies with the end of break, and I'm kind of still sort of on break, but not really. I'm like working like half time, so I've had a lot of time to watch movies. I won't go into everything I've watched because it'd be lengthy. I will say there was a lot of cinematic comfort food. I mean, I just pigged out on some classics like both Grumpy Old Men movies, Notting Hill, Wrongfully Accused, Young Frankenstein, Back to School, Earth Girls Are Easy made an appearance in there, and of course Mordecai from 2015.
Of course, Mordecai, your go-to right there. I'm so glad I get to be a part of your life when that was a big deal. I know all about it.
It still is. It still is a big deal. Always good comfort food. Oh, and Wrongfully Accused, which is still makes me
hilarious.
Laugh. As stupid as it is, it still makes me laugh.
I watched
Nielsen. Some new stuff. Mike? Did you know that there is a Noah Baumbach film that's about the fear of death? It's like this movie was made for you specifically. Did you watch
White, my friend? I absolutely watched White Noise. Absolutely, I did. Hell yeah.
Let's talk it. What'd you think?
All right, let's go right to White Noise. Look, White Noise was a film that I gotta say, dude, I didn't know anything about the book. This is a big deal. This guy's a legend. What's his name? DeLillo.
Don
Yeah,
DeLillo.
Don DeLillo.
Thank you, Don DeLillo. I totally biffed it. A pretty legendary writer based on what I started to dig into it. I had never heard of him. And I kind of got, I hate to say this, I kind of got Inherent Vice vibes on this one.
Oh shit!
In terms of the
sell.
I know it's a director who clearly has a strong affinity for the book, the original source, wants to retell it in movie form, and I can't even describe to you why it is that way exactly, but it really stuck in my head, Travis. That's what stuck out to me most. Like, wow, I'm getting a lot of Inherent Vice vibes here watching White Noise, and I'm not proud of it.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's not
So
good.
you didn't care for it.
Well, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, but it turned me off. But I watched the whole thing, and I was curious. You know, there was parts where you're like, wow, this is really interesting. And like, yes, the whole, I mean, it's about consumerism and death and our endless march. I mean, the product placement and the accuracy of the old school products in this film, the Taco Bell, I mean, it was legendary.
Some of the best product placement I've ever seen in film.
And historically accurate.
Eric, did you watch it?
No, I watched the trailer. It looked fucking obnoxious as hell.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know
extremely pretentious. I mean, it's extremely artsy, which is why I think you would like it.
It's also about academia, so that makes it, that just raises the level a bit
Dude,
because that's a big focus.
The fucking lecture scene with Cheadle and Driver, I'm like jerking off to this. I love it so much.
I bet you did, Panama Red.
I'd be very happy. Like I want LCD Sound System to at least be nominated for best film song. For this, the song that they wrote for this is fantastic. I think the set design, the production design deserves an Academy Award nomination. The costume design deserves an Academy Award nomination. This is one of the most immersive pictures I've seen it set in the 1980s ever. I mean, I felt like I was living in the 1980s watching this thing. Not just the product placement, but again, I think that is a really well done part. But everything about it, I mean, like you watch a lot of period pieces set in that time period, and you're like, yeah, okay. I haven't checked, but I'm like, did he fucking like shoot this on old film? Even it looks so grainy, so it looks fantastic. It does. That third act is rough. Like it gets real slow and draggy in the end. I'm sorry to say. I really love the first 2/3, but it's certainly worth seeing. You should, I mean, like if you like movies, you'll probably get around to seeing White Noise, and you should. Eric, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes.
The
third act's terrible, and the way the movie's set up, it could take you in a lot of directions where you think it might be going. So if you don't know the source novel at all, again, you might really not like it. I bet if you did know the source novel and you were a big fan of it, I have a feeling you'll probably love this movie because it seems like it was pretty authentic to what I learned afterwards about White Noise. So I didn't hate it. I definitely didn't love it. And it also seems hard to kind of rewatch it. I mean, I give you all the credit in the world, Travis, for everything you said, especially Greta Gerwig's hair, too. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many little things. Don Cheadle, the way he is. I love Cheadle in this movie, and I know you love Don Cheadle already, but Cheadle's performance in this movie was very different for him in a way. I don't know. He was like, he inhabited somebody completely unusual for him, and I really thought he did a great job.
I wouldn't even be surprised if there was a best supporting nod for him for this, but probably not. But I wouldn't be surprised because I agree. And dude, like talk about a cast. I mean, the people that are just shoved into this movie. Like there goes Andre 3000. What the fuck is he doing in there? There's like so many people in this movie. It's absurd, but it's it's good. It's not great.
Okay, that's fair.
Eric, you said that you watched a Diane Keaton film. Was
did.
it by any chance Mac and Rita from this year?
Hell no. Is that what you watched?
I watched Mac and Rita from this year, which is literally the movie Big, but instead of an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old turning into Tom Hanks, it's like a 30-year-old turning into Diane Keaton.
There's your elevator pitch.
Literally the movie. Not great. Can't recommend it.
Okay.
I did really enjoy Confess, Fletch.
Did you?
Year. John Hamm starring as Fletch. These are based on a series of books, not the original movies were. So does it matter that Chevy Chase was in it? Does it matter that I haven't seen the other Fletch movies since I was a kid? It didn't matter at all. It was totally entertaining. Just watching John Hamm do his slick thing, kind of noir-y, but like comedy. I really enjoyed Fletch Lives. I think it should get some more eyes on it. I really like, Confess Fletch. It was quite good. Lastly, but not leastly, I just finished The Menu and I fucking loved it.
I knew you would. I had a feeling.
I loved it. In fact, Eric, we fucked up. This should have been part of our horror corner. There's so much to unpack with this movie.
Good, dude. I'd be down if you want to save it because it's on HBO Max.
Yeah, it just dropped on HBO Max. I almost debate that it's a horror movie, maybe more of a thriller, but it uses horrific things to make really intelligent satirical points.
Shit,
it is a lot of fun. I really like it. Sorry, what's that?
I want to see that.
I almost clicked play on it last night, and I just ran out of time, so I'm gonna watch it though.
Dude, I loved it.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
Hey, okay, let's turn over to Eric Bransham at 2550. That's our timestamp.
Okay. Yeah, dude. I checked back in with Woody Allen. I fucked up. I know I made a huge declaration that I'm never going back. I've been back many times. Who the fuck am I kidding? I love his films. I'm willing to separate the disgusting monster that he is with the art because the art is so good. And I went back to Manhattan, 1979. I still think it's one of his top 3 best films. It's still fantastic. We got a 42-year-old man casually dating a 17-year-old, and his friends are totally cool with it. Nobody in the entire film has anything like negative to say about the relationship. It's just like completely normal in the film. A little problematic, but I love Manhattan so much. And then I immediately clicked play on Purple Rose of Cairo because I haven't seen this in many years.
Chelsea.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels is in it, and it's fun for like 20-30 minutes, and then it just gets really irritating. It's like, all right, I get what's going on here. It's irritating. Yeah, it's fun while it lasted. I checked in with Strange World, Travis. I mean, you got to make that Disney Plus subscription work in your favor. I gave it a shot, man. I've been hearing all the naysaying, and I watched it, and I turned it off. It was fucking boring. It's so fucking dull. I cannot believe 2022 has 2 Disney movies that I fucking turned off. And I'm a patient viewer in animation.
What's the other one?
And Lightyear.
Oh, Lightyear.
Interminable. In strange ways, so fucking bored, and I had shit to do. I'm like, why? What is this? This is like should have came out like after like Treasure Planet, just like dumped out by Disney. Like, I get it. Like the first 20 minutes, great. We're all happy. We're all inclusive. All right, everybody happy now. No one's mad. Everyone feels represented. All right, now let's tell our story. And then the story is fucking boring and it's derivative. Can't recommend it.
It's not great.
Yeah, it's not good. I was surprised, man. I went back to True Crime, 1999 Clint Eastwood movie. I remember being bored in the theaters as a kid.
Oh,
watch it, man. Isaiah Washington's fucking fantastic in it, and I really liked it. I might watch it again, dude. I really like the story about death row inmate whose last chance for survival is this grizzled reporter who was sent to interview him on his last day.
Huh.
I don't know what I was thinking, man. It was fantastic. James Woods, say what you will, great in it. Dennis Leary, fine performance. It was a lot of fun, man. Check it out on HBO Max if you dismissed it back in the late 90s, as I think it's a good film.
I love dismissing things.
Lastly, dude, definitely going to have to retcon my top 5 of 2022 list. And, you knew this was going to happen once we caught up on some of the films. Glass Onion. I fucking loved it. I thought it was fucking amazing.
Wow.
It might be my number 2. I fucking loved it. I didn't care for Knives Out. I fucking loved Glass Onion.
That's so weird. That's so awesome. Weird. How do you not care for Knives Out but love?
Wasn't that good? And Glass Onion was really good. I fucking loved it so much. It was such a fun story. Daniel Craig had me laughing out loud. Edward Norton had me laughing my ass off. I love the script. I hope Rian Johnson, I can't believe I'm fucking saying this, wins Best Original Screenplay. I thought it was the best screenplay of the year, easily.
What? Okay.
A little underwhelmed by the mystery of it, but
I heard what you said last week, Travis. You didn't love it.
I loved the movie. I really did love the movie. I didn't love the mystery of it. I felt like it was not very mysterious, but it is a very fun movie.
Not a very mysterious mystery. Is that problematic? It might be, but I got to tell you, Eric, this script was spot on in terms of being like time and place where we are in the world right now. It was
coincidence.
It was I know, and it was total coincidence, right?
It's funny.
He didn't know He didn't know Elon Musk was going to buy Twitter and all this shit. Yeah. I mean, all three of us have seen this. So, spoilers. I'll open this up a little bit. All three of us have seen this.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to talk about the movie because the three of us have seen it.
I'm just saying
the three of us have seen it.
May not have heard.
That's why I said spoilers. Lock your eardrums up. Earmuffs. Look, Glass Onion storytelling. Why? Eric, you don't have a problem with the way the story's told and the way how
there's a lot of classic mysteries that are like, oh, obviously it's going to be him, and it's the journey. I mean, I didn't expect to be shocked. It was just fun.
No, but the fact that we have to like have it all retold for us an hour in almost, where we go back to the beginning with the box and Hugh Grant, and the story unfolds from there, and then we have to replay certain beats that we were already kind of through. I don't know if I love that style.
It's a little bit of a cheat. It's a little bit of a cheat.
Yeah, it's fine if he ends up being the guy, or whoever you think's going to be the person ends up being up that person. I'm fine with that. I really am. It kind of threw me because I was into the movie until that moment when that bullet happens, and then it goes back to the beginning. I'm like, oh shit, what? We're going back to the beginning.
Yeah, that's when I started caring, because if it didn't do that, I just wouldn't care that much about the characters. I got invested in an individual because of that, and then from there on out, it was more about the characters than the mystery for me.
Also, we talk about how time travel has been used as a really lame way, as a MacGuffin in storytelling recently. The twins, man, come on. Twins is so lame. I just don't like That's what bothers me. I think that's what really bothers me about Eric is that, no, I mean, full credit, Janelle Monáe. I mean, impressive actress, but they're supposed to be twins, but they are different people. I've met some twins. We had twins in high school, right, guys? Remember? Like, there was people like the Halsteads. Yeah, exactly. And they were different people. It would have been hard for one of them to replicate the other. I did know them, so maybe, but those people knew the characters. Maybe I'm just way too in the weeds on this. Maybe who cares? But that's how I see it. It bothers me.
Benoit Blanc said it perfectly. No one's watching out for anything unusual because they didn't know blah blah blah. Fill in the blank here. Spoiler alert.
It's a lot of fun watching Benoit Blanc not solve a mystery.
He solves one pretty early.
Yeah, he solved it, and then he was just there. That's the early part about it. Loved it. Can't wait for the third installment.
I do like it. Yeah, I will. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I will definitely say that about Glass Onion. And I enjoy the Benoit Blanc character. He's fun.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
So that's cool. I didn't hate it. It was so poignant. It really stuck with me, and how we assume people are geniuses just because they have money and shit like that. It's a time-honored tradition, and I love that part about the script. It really, I was impressed. I dug that a lot. So that was cool. That's all I have to say about that. All right, so I guess, are you done, Eric? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. All right, 3258. We switched over to Mike's quarantine viewing picks. Now remember,
okay.
Yeah, so professional. Remember this, folks. I missed last week's show, and it was a holiday break where I had COVID. So what do you think I did? I mean, honestly,
movies.
I mean, I did things that I didn't think I could do, and I did them. Okay, I watched stuff, and I made it happen. It wasn't easy. So let's get right down to it. Let's get busy. So let's start with this TV show. Now, have you guys heard of or seen Emily in Paris?
Isn't it Emily in Paris?
Sure.
Yeah. Yes,
that's probably more accurate.
I have. It's highly regarded, although I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's by Darren Star, the Sex and the City creator.
Right. Which is so that gives it reason I want to watch it.
It gives it clout.
Yeah,
and it stars Lily Collins, Phil Collins' daughter, who's the British American, a very lovely lass. Yeah, she is. Actually, I had a whole Lily Collins thing here. So me and Leanne started watching Emily in Paris, and I found out about all this hate for the show. Shocking. There's hate for a TV show that's streaming these days. But
with a woman star? You don't say.
More than that, it was about how Americans portray France and French people. There was actually some legitimate
French people
beefs.
have a problem with Americans? This is also breaking news.
Hitting the classics today here on Cinema 9, folks. Anyways, there's a lot I learned about it. I found it fascinating. We watched all 3 seasons. Leanne loved it. It was comfort. It was a comfort show. It looks beautiful. The fucking clothes and they have, because it's a fashion show, is incredible. I'm not even look at me. I'm the hoodie guy. That's what I do. I know. I was impressed by it. I was like, wow, look at these outfits. Wow, look at all this stuff. Look at these colors.
Wow, Mike.
Look at that lapel. I don't know. It was.
Oh, I love a good lapel.
Who the hell don't? So Emily Paris, check it out if you want to. But a lot of people are pissed about it. So since we watched that, we watched a movie that came out in 2017 called To the Bone.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah, you liked it?
To the Bone. Loved it.
Yeah, this is a controversial film about anorexia, bulimia, food disorders, really. What do they call them? Food eating
disorders?
Thank you. I'm so dumb. It's funny how dumb you could be when you're live sometimes. You know you're a smart person.
The brain just trickles out the ear and doesn't come back until you've stopped recording, pretty much is how it works.
Exactly.
You listen later and you're like, what the fuck did I just say?
Oh, it's exciting, though. I feel alive. We're alive right now. But I will say To the Bone was outstanding. And Keanu Reeves surprised, co-starring as a very low-key therapist doctor. Really, really... again, this movie was controversial, Eric, because of the way that there was too much humor portrayed in a movie about eating disorders. People apparently who have eating disorders can't be funny. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. So I'm going to say that you should strongly see To the Bone. If you missed it, it's still on Netflix. It's an excellent film. It's a challenging watch, but it is funny. And it's if you had an addiction of any kind, you can really relate to it. It's a great movie. Really well done. All right, so there we go. That's the Lily Collins segment of the show here. I watched a movie called Brian Banks. It's about a football player. It's a true story and how he had himself freed from the bondage of awful parole for something he never did. The Innocence Project was involved. Really great stuff. I didn't know this about Brian Banks. Solid job. What's his name? He's like the guy who's lesser known. He doesn't get enough respect. He's on that show, A City on a Hill. It's a good show, and it's with Aldous Hodge. Yeah, Aldous Hodge played Brian Banks. Solid guy. Solid actor.
Moonlight?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I finally watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. I finally did it.
Okay.
I've been avoiding it. It's been sitting in front of me for so long, and I'm like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. It's not bad, but, it's kind of blah. It reminded me again. I'm sick of being reminded of shit, but The Force Awakens. Hey, let's just kind of do some more of the repeat beats of a movie that was already
miserable
created.
Race dance, total loser, hates life, hates Egon. And let's start there with that beloved character again.
Well, make sure Egon's also miserable before he's dead.
Yep. Make sure he dies alone and all of his friends hate him and abandon him. Yep.
Yeah, he's the dirt farmer. Yeah, that's it. So, boy. It's not great. I also don't love movies with kids who are the main focus.
Well, if you don't maybe you don't want to watch the Ghostbusters fight ghosts, so you don't want to watch women fight ghosts. How about kids? Watch kids fight ghosts. Next it'll be dogs.
Talking dogs. Airbud Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters Airbud.
That is funny, Travis. Yes, that sums it up. I'll never watch it again, probably.
Nah,
yeah, look who's busting.
Busting.
That's funny. Oh, that was great. So I fired up. I finally wanted to watch this movie, and I finally did it.
Oh, good.
Like I said, I'm conquering a lot during my break. I watched Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, the Ted Bundy movie where Zac Efron played Ted Bundy, again with Lily Collins co-starring. And I didn't know this whole aspect about Ted Bundy in the story, and it's a true story. So it unfortunately put me in a terrible Ted Bundy hole for a few days, which is not a great place to be, I would say. Because then I watched the Ted Bundy tapes after I watched the movie, and I was like, I want to know more and more. It's like, how did this happen? Why would this happen? How could he escape jail twice? How does he get away with all this stuff? I mean, it's all true. So it just blows my mind because it's real. It's not because it's fucked up or he's a sick bastard or an ill person or it's so gory. It's like, how did this all happen? Because it's true. So yeah, I went down that Bundy wormhole. Everybody's been down it once in their life. If you're an American, you've been down the Bundy wormhole. It happens. Yeah. It's not great, but it does happen. And Lily Collins was great in that movie, so good job, Lily. So since White Noise came out, I went back to watch the Meyerowitz Stories, which is an excellent Noah Baumbach film. A really, really solid Baumbach. It's really... What? Oh, no! Eric hates it. Eric is squinting. He's running away. No Meyerowitz Stories?
You have the floor. Continue. I won't trash her.
No, tell me.
Insufferable. Hated it. I was clawing my eyes and ears out of my fucking skull. I could not stand that fucking movie.
Really? Watch it recently?
When it came out.
Oh, okay. That's what I would say.
Classic Baumbach's horseshit, yucky, scum fucking New York, dillbags, talking each other down about society.
Very textbook Baumbach.
Oh, yeah, it is. But I will say, yeah, I love textbook Baumbach when it's done right. It's my alley. I do love it. I love the dialogue. Dustin Hoffman is giving a masterclass in boomeritis. Like he's the ultimate boomer on screen. He's so good. He just talks about himself all the time. It's a great performance. It really is. I give full credit to the writing and the character. He just won't stop talking about himself throughout the whole movie. And the older I get, the more I think I like this movie. So I'm glad I went back and watched it because I didn't love it when it came out either, Eric. But the Meyerowitz stories, Travis, I think it's a solid film. It really is.
It's okay. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I'm not the world's biggest Bombeck fan, except for while we're young. I do like that one quite a bit.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a fun one. All right, we went back and watched The Blind Side. Leanne never saw The Blind Side. I can't. Did you know this was a top 3? This was a top 3 grossing movie of 2009.
I believe it.
Didn't she win an Oscar for it?
Yes.
Jesus.
This is a movie people took very seriously when it came out, and then immediately turned around and went, "Why did we do that?"
Oh,
yeah.
Like Crash, it was like one of those things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking, Travis. Crash.
This is actually embarrassing. Why did we celebrate this? Well,
Sandra Bullock was in both.
Yes, she was.
It's so embarrassing.
Wow. So this movie sucks then.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, White Savior, the movie. I mean, everyone knows.
Oh, I knew it. It sucks though because it's a true story about Michael Orr was a real guy. He was a football player, and his life was. Oh, he's still alive.
Oh,
so you're right. He was. Well, I mean, he's no longer a football player because he's retired from that. So he was still accurate, I think. But
I don't know.
Yeah, White Savior the movie. Fine, okay, I'll leave it there. But I still can't believe it's one of the top 3 grossing movies of 2009. That still blows my mind. All right, I watched a Cocaine Cowboys documentary on Netflix. Yeah, it's awesome,
absolutely.
Dude. Those guys are real. Again, more real people.
Did you watch like that 3-hour long one that I saw? It's like very, very long.
I watched a multi-episode one, so maybe it was chopped up. It was like 6 episodes.
Is it okay? Is it how old is it?
Like a year or two. It's one of the newer ones.
They must have like remade it because
they did. There was another one.
Cowboys. It's like 20 years ago, like 3-hour long documentary.
ESPN did one in like 2010. Yes,
okay.
There is 2. You're right. That's a good point. The one on Netflix is what I'm talking about. It's wild. It's all true. Miami. It's like Scarface in real life.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. This shit happens. It's bonkers. Guys.
Yes,
dude.
I mean, you think it's over. And Disney just has a stranglehold on all of our favorite characters and our IPs that we love.
Of course.
And then they do something like Andor, which is just incredible. And it's just so good, man. I am so glad that I got to watch Andor. I thought it was fabulous. I really did.
I mean, after watching Michael Clayton, I'm like, because Tony Gilroy is the showrunner of Andor and the main writer of Andor and the main director of Andor. And I watched one episode of Andor and went, I'm good. And then everyone has praised it since. So I really need to revisit it because you are like the millionth person to tell me it's fantastic. I need to get on.
I can't do it. Jamie Andrews, friend of the show, he's talking the shit out of it. And I cannot hit play. Just have no interest. How can this be? I don't give a fuck about Cassie and Andor. Who cares? Why is this a show?
That's how I felt. That's why I hadn't watched it. I finally watched it. I'm like you guys. I am you. You are me. I'm telling you. You will watch it, and then if you watch the whole thing, Travis, I'm very confident. Travis, you'd be like, this is pretty damn good.
I'm sure it is. I just the first episode, I must not have been the right mindset. It was just I'm like, well, this is really kind of slow.
It is. The first 2 episodes are kind of blah. I will say that.
Yeah,
but man, it's not bullshit. It's really different than anything they've done there. And that's what gave me hope about it. That's why I liked it so much, because it's not so corporatized, Disneyfied, Kathleen Kennedy-esque Star Wars world that we know post-sale of Star Wars IP from George Lucas. This is a show that's going to have another season 2. And fucking Stellan Skarsgård is awesome in this show. He is it's one of his best efforts. It really is. I'm saying this out loud, guys. I've seen Good Will Hunting. I've seen them all. This is one of Stellan Skarsgård's finest hours. This might be, and I don't think this is hyperbolic. I will go back and watch this episode a month from now and be like, I stand behind that. Stellan Skarsgård's a badass.
He's a great actor.
He's outstanding.
Oh, it's about my medal. You can have it, Sean.
Ooh, the feels better. Ooh, that's a good drop. I should have that one. All right, there's so much more, but I'll leave it there. I mean, I've been off for a while. It's just so much fun stuff to watch. I think I've caught up. I finished She-Hulk too, Travis. So.
Oh, great. Someday we'll do that Marvel thing.
I think if I have to watch the werewolf thing and the Christmas holiday special, Wakanda Forever is coming out on Disney in a couple of days. So
it is?
I'll be ready. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they released a date for that. Great.
Oh, it says coming soon on my Disney Plus, so I figured I don't know. Maybe it's not days. Maybe it is 2 weeks. I'll have to double check. But
Okay. Yeah.
Very
No.
close.
I mean, I believe you. I'm just saying. I just
that's
didn't-
it though. That's all I need to watch. I've got every other Phase 4 thing done.
I've rewatched it all at this point.
Well, it's
I've
even better.
rewatched everything except for the specials, which I'll rewatch those too. Fuck it.
If I could crank out Wakanda Forever more quickly, then we could do our Marvel episode, which I would like to do. I do believe in our project and our cause.
See it in theaters, man. It's still in theaters.
Yeah! Woo! All right, I'm fired up. This has been a lot of fun. We're talking movies. We're 45 minutes in or so, but that's okay because there was a lot to catch up on. I missed last week, and I miss talking movies with my friends. I like doing this show, and I hope you guys enjoy the show too. Thank you very much. It's fun to do movie talk, but let's get focused now. Let's dive into our main event.
Get serious.
It's time to find out if Travis's selection, our first movie of 2023, as we embark on our 4th season of the Cinema 9 podcast.
Wow.
2007's Michael Clayton, directed, as Travis said prior, by Tony Gilroy, starring George Clooney, coming off his Oscar win for Syriana in 2005 when he got all fat. And that's what you do. You don't have to be a great actor. You just have to do a physical challenge.
Extreme
Like
diets.
Well,
Yeah,
he also hit his head really bad in Syriana too. So
He
it's like
did.
It was like a double whammy. I'm like, hey, I
Yeah.
got fat and brain damage, guys. Please give me an Oscar. Got this
Guilt
beard.
Oscar. Welcome to the Guilt Oscars. We feel guilty. It's just like DiCaprio. They felt really bad for him because he froze his ass off and he had to eat
in
beef
Revenant.
livers.
Brain damage. Probably explain the monuments, man.
Ha! That's a good one. Anyways, 2007. This one is a classic, is it not? A lot of people speak highly of this film. I don't know if I feel that way, but when people who are just average movie people, they talk about Michael Clayton in this really glowing terms, like, "Oh, that's a fabulous movie. That's a fantastic picture." You know, I don't know. These are like, I hear them say this. I've heard them say it on podcasts. Travis, take us back to 2007 and give us the story of your first viewing of Tori Spelling watching Michael Clayton.
I'm gonna tell you that, but I'm gonna remove Tori Spelling from
All
the
right,
equation.
fine.
I agree. This is definitely a movie that people, when they talk about it, it's solemnly. It's like it's one of the greatest movies. And I have also been one of those people, but I haven't watched it in quite some time. So I was like, okay, it's time to revisit. Do I remember seeing it in 2007? Vaguely. I saw it in theaters. I know that much, but I don't remember much else about it. When I think of the movie, I always think of him looking at those horses. That's what, like, I think of the movie and that's the scene that comes to my mind. So I remember like that in particular standing out to me. But and then I watched it a few times since, and here I watched it again last night. And here we go.
Zap with the zip and go.
Bing, bing, boom.
That's
Yeah,
right,
man.
Eric.
2007. I remember Oscar season very clearly because I was, I am Michael Clayton. I'm like, I don't know who you are, legal thriller, but back away from There Will Be Blood for these top awards. Then I saw it on home video, and I loved the film, man. I loved it. I've been in the same boat. I've been talking about it in small circles, very solemnly. Oh, Michael Clayton, this is a classic masterpiece. Haven't seen it since, and I was excited to revisit.
2007 was a really challenge. I mean, you said There Will Be Blood. There was also No Country.
Oh,
for-
yeah.
No Cunch, as Eric likes to say. So, it was
Some other stuff. Yeah.
that's why George Clooney didn't win because Daniel Day-Lewis was incredible, but it's probably deserving of being. That's it. Look at this, heavy hitters that year: Daniel Day-Lewis, George Clooney, Johnny Depp, Tommy Lee Jones, and by the way, Tommy Lee Jones for In the Valley of Elah, not for No Cunch. So and Viggo. No Cunch is hilarious.
Eastern Promises.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen. Very well done effort there. So this isn't the Oscar report, though. In 2007, I did not see this movie. I remember hearing the title. I remember getting annoyed because the title, it's just it's a character's name. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Michael
weird-
Clayton? This
Weird name.
doesn't tell me anything. I could be anything. I don't know. So I don't know who Michael Clayton was, but eventually I think I watched this on DVD around 2008 or 9. I didn't get to it right away. And so I might have missed the hype train, but I remember watching it and being like, whoa. It was, it's a movie that sticks with you because it's intense and it's about intense shit. So, but I didn't know if it was a masterpiece or if I loved it. I thought it might have been a little bit boring back then. That was my initial response. Doesn't mean I'm right, though. As far as the rating, IMDb rating for this film, Travis Roy, do you have a guess on this one?
I'm gonna say it's high. I'm gonna say it's real high.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's quite in the eights. I'll say 7. I'll say 7, 8.
Yeah, I would say a 7.3.
7.5.
7.5. Actual retail price is 7.2.
Okay.
Oh, is that harsh?
Well, I mean, for a movie that was
Right.
nominated for 7 Academy Awards,
Right.
I don't think that that's harsh. And also, the cinematographer won an Academy Award for Robert Elswit won for There Will Be
God,
Blood, because that was the other movie he did that year. So there's a
Wow.
lot of talent in this movie, and recognized talent. So I don't think 7.2 is insult, but I would have obviously guessed higher.
I
think
remember
it's
that. I
reasonable.
think I took a quick look at Rotten Tomatoes, and we had ourselves another pretty wide gap. I think it's like 63 from the audience and like 92 from the critics.
Yeah, 69 and 91. I'm really
Yeah.
surprised by this.
This must
60.
be a critical darling, if you will.
Well, clearly, it's Tony Gilroy, I feel like, is a critical darling type
Sure,
of
The
dude.
cutting edge.
It's his first movie.
masterpiece.
Cutting Edge. Who could forget? He wrote the Cutting Edge. No pick. But this is his first film that he directed, one of 3, and the only one that anyone saw. So that says something.
Oh, shit. You know what? I got to bring this up right now because it blew my mind. The other day when I was watching something, and it was crap. What was it? It was
Cutting Edge?
I was watching Varsity Blues, the movie Varsity Blues from 1999, and I saw I'm like, who wrote this? I went and looked at the writer, and his name was Eliff, W. Peter Eliff, and then I find out that he's the same guy who wrote Point Break as well. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's legit. So I just thought about writers, and sometimes you don't know who's behind a project. It really blew my mind that this guy was behind Point Break and Varsity Blues, which I think are 2 fun movies. They're highly entertaining. And he did Patriot Games, which I love Patriot Games. So it just totally blew my mind. That's a side project there. All right, now back to the show we're doing, now that you have heard about W. Peter Eliff. The ratings are weird to me here. I'm shocked by the 69%, Travis. This blows my mind. It really does. I'm shocked by this.
Well, you yourself said that when you first watched it, you thought it was boring. I don't know that this is. I mean, this is a different. I mean, it's a different kind of movie, and in that it is like a corporate espionage thriller, in the vein of, say, Inside Man or Civil Action. But unlike those movies, it doesn't seem that interested in trying to necessarily be
Silkwood?
and being super accessible. I don't know what Silkwood's corporate. Well, I guess it would be. But yeah, it's not like it's not trying to be a super Hollywood movie. In some ways, it's kind of a tried and true plot, but with this gray as fuck protagonist in Michael Clayton, you have like it kind of challenges the viewer to think a little differently about morality in that world, in ways that, like, Civil Action and that kind of stuff is a lot more Aaron Brockovich, a lot more straightforward, a lot more like, here's our hero, he's fighting against the big villain, the corporate villain, and it's a little more nuanced here.
Someone online called it the best Grisham adaptation, not based on a John Grisham book, and I have to agree with that, because like all John Grisham novels are your straight-laced young attorney, no problems, no vices, like, and then they do the right thing, and there's lots of explosions and lots of murders. Whereas here, if you don't have like that car explosion in the trailer, no one's even going to bother seeing it. It's a very like semantical, like old school Bob Redford type, conspiracy type enriching character drama. Not a lot there for an audience holding pop and popcorn, but for me, that's the beauty of the film, as we'll get into.
Lisa Kennedy of the Denver Post said, confident in the story's power and the moviegoer's intelligence, Gilroy uses only one explosion to own our rapt attention. How about that? Yeah, that's true.
It's out of focus.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah. How about Nell Minow, a movie mom? Good old movie
Nell.
moms checking. Yeah, I see her all the time. It looks like a movie mom from 1958. George Clooney just keeps getting better and better. His performance here is rich and deep and layered. And seeing him work through his range of reactions is enormously moving. It provides a strong center for the legal thriller swirling around him. Ooh, we all love a strong center, don't we? I mean, that's great.
Swirling around us, yes.
Hey, Billy Goody Coons. There he is.
Hey, old Bill.
Old Bill. On October 11th, 2007, Bill said the following. Smart and exciting. Michael Clayton takes the audience on a ride whose pleasures almost sneak up on you and are all the more satisfying because of it. Yeah, it is a sneaky film in that way. I think you're right, Bill.
Yeah.
Well said.
I agree, Bill.
I agree, Bill. Oh, Roger Moore. I not that Roger Moore.
Orlando Sentinel. Yeah.
That's right. That's right, Eric. Very good. Stop printing the ballots. Don't waste money on those for your consideration Oscar ads. There is but one contender for Best Supporting Actor this year, and it is Tom Wilkinson and Michael Clayton.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nominated and didn't win.
Stupid. It's the stupidest thing. Who won?
Who did he lose to? Do we know?
He lost to Anton Chigurh.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's his name?
Javier Bardem.
Oh. That response is perfect, Travis. Oh, it kind of makes sense. Not terrible.
Unreal.
I feel like Wilkinson gave a better performance.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. All caps.
I'm with you. I don't disagree with that either. I just think maybe No Cunch was a little more popular, so that's why I
more
wanted him.
sexier of a performance.
And Wilkinson hadn't he won for In the Bedroom?
He was nominated.
Nominated for In the Bedroom, which, by the way, on a personal note, I know that on this show I have said good things about In the Bedroom. Every time I've talked about In the Bedroom in my life, I was thinking about a different movie called Normal, starring Tom Wilkinson. So for the record, I have little recollection of In the Bedroom, but Normal is a very good movie.
Okay. In the Bedroom's outstanding, dude. I watched it a couple years ago for the first time. It's a fabulous film. You're okay.
Normal's great also, for the record.
Well, I've never seen Normal, so I got to watch Normal. Let's see. These are all, I'm looking for a splat here, but these are all just riveting reviews with a lot of plump, fresh, red tomatoes. Here we go. Eric Childress from efilmcritic.com said the following. Despite an exceptional performance by Clooney, Michael Clayton is like watching a drawn-out third act that left the really compelling stuff back in the first two. Oh. How about that?
So he's saying the whole movie is like a drawn-out third act? Is that what he's saying?
Hey, here's a shocker. Rex Reed, it seems like he shits on every film ever. Michael Clayton literally knocks its brains out trying to be clever, but it ends up being the same kind of smart alecky filmmaking most of Mr. Clooney's movies are famous for. Really?
So he's not a Clooney fan.
Literally.
Clearly not. He thinks there's this is the era of Clooney. I mean, he's on fire, right? You got Good Night and Good Luck, Syriana. I mean, all these movies have come out. Yeah. Up in the Air came out after this one, but yeah, this is Clooney's world at this time. He owned the world. This was he was a huge star.
On his shoulder. Fuck Rex Reed.
That's it. You're right. I mean, because this is the biggest movie star in the world just about at the time. And this was a highly acclaimed movie, maybe the movie of his career. Frankly, it's up there.
Ooh, wow!
In terms of the performances, I mean, I don't know that I would be unique in making that claim.
What about The American?
The
same movie.
Actually, Peacemaker. That one, Peacemaker, I saw in theaters.
I got one last one. We'll move on. No Destin Thompson, but we do have Kirk Honeycutt. We haven't heard from him in a while. So
Honeycutt.
Kirk Honeycutt for The Hollywood Reporter on August 31st, 2007, said the following. As with the Bourne films, Gilroy has a knack for creating strong characters and situations that resonate with tension. You're right about that, Kirk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, tell me why this movie could suck, though. A lot of positivity there. Maybe I'm talking to the wrong people.
Okay. Why does this movie suck? It's an interesting place to start.
Yeah.
It is a lot grainier than I remember. In terms, I thought it was a really slick movie, but it's a lot grainier than I remember.
I thought it was my copy. I wasn't sure.
You're right. It's kind of grainy. I'm like, do a remaster on this, motherfuckers. It needs to look as slick as it does in my memory. And then also, I don't think that I mean, you have to. Watching the movie. I already referenced it, the Insider. I think it's hard not to be like, well, someone really enjoys the films of Michael Mann. That's pretty much my main takeaway. I mean, like as far as direction goes, like I feel like there's a big Michael Mann imprint.
There's enough blue. There's enough blue in this film.
Yeah, right. So that's partly why all the blue, perhaps, but also I think that Michael Mann is very much he's literally from the 70s, and there's kind of a 70s vibe to this movie.
Yeah, there is. That's a good call, Travis. I would give you a criticism about this film that it's just absurd. This guy's a lawyer who's worked his ass off forever. I'm talking about Tom Wilkinson's character. And suddenly he's been working on this case for a long time. I just have a hard time feeling like he would just go. I know he's went off his meds, which I think is a crutch in this film to say he went off his meds. Like people, they're not just Looney Tunes because they went off their like. If you stop taking your meds, you might get more upset. It might build up. There might be frustrations that happens. And it's also, we don't even know what the actual disorder was either. So we're talking vaguely because it is vague.
He says manic depression. Michael Clayton does. He tells him you're manic depressive at one point.
He does say that. Okay, well, that's a little more clear. But
here's something. Here's an alternate take on that, because I mean, for one, I get the feeling that the case itself is what drives him crazy. It's not so much the manic depression. That's his cross to bear that eventually becomes too much of a burden because of the case. And in the same way, I really like the movie also addresses that Michael Clayton has his own cross to bear, which is his gambling addiction. His brother is dealing with alcohol addiction. And all these characters in this movie have these very realistic issues that they're struggling with. And then you have Karen, Tilda Swinton's character, who her problem seems to be an absence of morality. And that has a much more profound impact on society at large than, say, these much more personal peccadillos of manic depression and alcoholism.
Let me just say one thing about that real quick. It's a fear of failure too, or it's like a fear of not wanting to let everybody down, even beyond morality. I really think that she's like, I got this big opportunity now. I don't want to screw it up, so I'll do anything, which is a lack of morality. But at the same time, there's these other factors that are so simplistic, but they have devastating consequences as the film lays out, which is a good thing.
Her ambition, maybe.
Yes,
is another way to put that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you bring up some great points. Aside from Karen, these other vices are treatable in a way, whereas she's kind of inherently married to corporate scumminess. That's her driving passion. And I think that works as kind of like a light villain character. I like the shadowy nature of the corporate world and the white collar crime in this. I like that there's not a big fucking like that Don Jeffries doesn't have a big speech about fucking how fuck the people or anything. It's just very shadowy, and the subtlety in the Karen character comes through. I mean, I joke about her doing nothing but like changing her clothes and getting ready for a meeting, but this is someone rehearsing to be this alien. Reminds me a lot of Under the Skin when ScarJo's like trying to learn how to become a human being. That's what she's doing to prepare to become this person whose sole mission in life is to keep hurting people.
And excelling in her personal career because of it. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a great point, dude. That makes total sense. If you get Under the Skin reference too, that's bonus points because people love that movie. They love it.
Really good.
Look, I'm looking for holes here. No, that's not what I'm doing. I just watched the movie and I thought about how this shit never happens. Like you just don't hear about people breaking down and it getting out. You just don't. It doesn't happen. Lawyers are dealing with scummy shit because every day there's corporations, entities, groups, whatever, doing scummy, bogus, murderous type shit, if you will, things that kill people. You know, we've had decades and decades of things that we could go back and recall in real life. Like, I know that I guess this movie was kind of based on the Ford Pinto situation of the late 60s, 70s, into the 70s. Yeah. So that is old. And, you know, Ralph Nader made a career by defending and revealing things about consumerism in the car world. And then there's this other aspect about how this shit still doesn't happen. Like people whistleblow on occasion. I'm not denying that. We know that. We have whistleblower protection laws, but the way this happens, it just does, it seems like a fantasy. Like this movie's a fantasy in a way. It really is.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not a documentary.
No, but it's a thriller.
The fantasy here is, what if one of these high-powered lawyers suddenly grew a conscience?
Exactly.
That's the fantasy, and that lawyer is not Michael Clayton; it's Arthur Edens. And Arthur Edens has a conscience because of his manic depression. It's because he goes off his meds that he's able to like dive into the truth of that.
He's not sedated anymore,
right? So I think that's why it's a unique situation that you wouldn't ordinarily see, because most of the people in this firm are going to be like Sidney Pollack's character, or like Michael Clayton himself. Which Michael Clayton, he takes the 8K or the 80K. Like he's probably even going to be on board with not necessarily okay with the murder of his friend, but like he's kind of just like, I guess I'll make my deal with the devil, which I already made years and years ago. It's not until they attempt to kill him too that he's finally like, well, I have a problem with this. So he continues to exist in this moral gray area. It's just Edens, because of his mental illness, that is finally, and that speech, man, that monologue about the patina of shit. So awesome. Actually, many of his monologues about, am I this freak organism that comes to this planet specifically to defend this chain of carcinogenic chemicals? Like, it's so brilliant. Like boiling down your career, your life, and like your meaning of life. Like, is this why I'm here? Am I here to teach school and have a podcast? Because that's pretty much all I do. And this guy's like, am I here to defend evil? And finally his conscience breaks for it. So yeah, it's a fantasy, but I mean, there's no movie without that break.
I think the episode works, the manic episode in the deposition, Mike. It doesn't seem like bullshit to me. It seems like that the firm knew that he had this condition, and the shit hit the fan sooner or later. Something like this was going to happen, and Arthur says he gave 6 years of his life, and he even narrows it down to a percentage. He's like, I gave like 12% of my life to this case, and people are dying. It all works for me. Like in the beginning, we have this lunatic madman rant. And if you don't know what the fuck this story is about, that is like a very stressful, like first 10 minutes. I think I wrote that down. Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why is this even in there? Like, it's nonsense, and it's not really that important to the story, but it grabs you. It says this is a legal thriller, but this is unlike anything you've seen in a long time.
And he also makes that claim in that opening monologue that he later writes on the wall, which is believe that this, or make believe that this is more than just insanity. Because that's what he's that's what I find really fascinating about his character, is that on one hand, he is dealing with mental illness and this very real psychotic break that he's going through. But at the same time, he's also uncovered this very real conspiracy, and there's these very real consequences. And he's really made this drastic change in how he views morality. So like to try and circle both those squares at the same time for him, it's hard for the people in his life to even acknowledge that that's what's happening, let alone the viewer.
I love the Arthur character. My heart broke in that insane scene. Like one of the great death scenes I've seen in my life. Just the most clinical. It's like the most clinical surgical murder I've ever seen in a film, possibly.
It's incredible. Unreal. It's absolutely incredible. That's one of my big points of the film, was how it makes professional hits look not glamorous, not even nefarious. It's very businesslike. This is
also
all
believable.
Yeah, it's super believable. It's frighteningly believable that there's this contact. She gives the code. She gets the email encryption package. From there they go. And then it's like, okay, we'll spy on him at first. And then it's like, oh, is murder a possibility? Sure, we can throw that in the package too. We have everything available.
This sweaty, uncertain, nervous, like vacillating fucking rich fool who has access to these very criminally minded, one of whom who looks suspiciously like Anthony Michael Hall, but
I know that guy.
Yep, not Michael Hall. Yep.
Yeah, they were gonna go golfing, but then they decided they had to murder somebody. Like, yeah, sorry, we can't go golfing. We got to go kill people.
It's all so prosaic, and the death itself is so brutal. It's one of the most disturbing deaths I think I've seen on screen.
Yes.
Of it is. It's so matter of fact. It's just so matter of fact.
That's what's so frightening about it. That's why it scares me. It's not a scary horror thriller where someone gets stabbed and gets their head chopped off or whatever. It's all gory and ridiculous. This is frighteningly accurate because it seems so specific and so true to form. It could happen this way in a heartbeat. A guy who's a loner, he's got a place to himself. Nobody comes and goes.
Right.
Boom. Yeah. Just wants to eat 100 loaves of bread and peas.
Yeah, it's a bad guy.
And how many movies have you seen where there's a hitman and like it's for one an extremely dramatized murder, extremely like stylized and cool.
No score, no music,
no score when it's happening. It's all dead silent, and also like it's just like I don't know. It's just completely realistic and I know I was going to go with that. It's corporate. Like how many movies have you seen where it's like this is taking place between heads of state and it's all that, but this for it to be at the corporate level, so much more realistic.
Oh,
yes, that's what it is. It's all that's why I say business like. Yes, it is the most corporate way to handle things. It's all done by the book. It's structured. It's organized. It's not random chance. It's not all like loose ends. There are loose ends they want to tie up, but it's not chaotic. It's very organized and structured, which is terrifying to me. It's way more terrifying than any type of scary movie to me, a sudden, a jump cut or something, or a moment of terror that strikes you suddenly. It's scary.
It's like a strategy, but like to knock off Michael as well. Like, does this seem like kind of odd? Like this is not going to tie back to this company in the middle of this huge lawsuit about to become a settlement. We've got 2 dead attorneys from this firm.
It's like Travis says, she has no morality, so it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, what's 1, what's 2? I gotta shut down that booklet from being released. And once they know it, she sees it in her face. You're like, oh shit, this will crush
desperate. Me. Right, she's so desperate and figures, well, I've already turned down this path with Eden's. I might as well do the same thing to Clayton. But Clayton's right. He's not the guy you kill. He is the guy you buy off. He probably really could have bought him off, even after he goes to Eden's house and discovers that the phone was bugged, and it looks like he was going to have a celebration of some sort with Anna inside.
Yeah,
but
the Dom
even then, I think he could have, especially when he's hungry for that $80,000.
He needs that $80K. Sure.
Yes. That. By the way. It's so great to see Sidney Pollack on screen. I love when he does acting roles. There's something so comforting, but like fascinating about him on screen when I watch him. Every word he says and the way he says it. It's not a hardcore role or a complicated role. He's just a boss of a law firm. That's it. But I just love seeing him on film. I miss him.
He always
terribly.
seems very powerful. Like he could make a call and your life would be fucked.
Yeah, and he does usually play these kinds of guys. I'm trying to imagine him playing like a butcher or a baker,
a cobbler,
puppeteer.
Like I don't see that.
Production assistant,
right? Put him in a pinstripe suit in a high, office building in a high floor, and then I very much believe it.
But the ending scene is really, really incredible. And endings could get overhyped at times. But again, we got no score. We just got a matter-of-fact proposal to maybe close out this settlement with the collective action. And then there he is. Michael Clayton's just behind the door. And it's the words he say, Travis, like you said, like, I'm not the guy you kill. It's so profound, but it's so true. It's outstanding closing for a film that doesn't flash a bunch of lights at you and it doesn't force itself upon you. It's just like, damn, that's really good acting and writing.
There are only 2 sequences where Clayton and Karen interact with one another, where Clooney and Swinton actually share screen time. And the first one, you're like, okay, whatever. This is like, there they are. But by the time that second one comes around, for a movie that doesn't have any shootouts or real explosions or anything like that, it is incredibly tense. I mean, when she turns around and sees him and her jaw drops and he says that Arthur Edens is walking around somewhere too.
Yeah.
Like every time I watch this movie, just like I was last night, I like inch forward up on my seat. Like I'm watching some big action sequence, but it's just 2 people standing in a lobby talking, but it's so tense. And it's really rewarding watching her, like scrape and beg and trying to figure out how to get out of the situation with him. And then he tells her that she's fucked. You're fucked.
And then Tony Gilroy doesn't even offer her like a nice close up at the end to like collapse. He just
milk it
walks away from her, leaves her in the background to crumble. Okay,
bring it.
Is Michael Clayton pissed enough that a hit was put on him? Because he's like, that last speech, fucking fantastic, but he's like very casual and cool and like I gotcha mode, like he was almost fucking murdered. He's not more mad.
I think that's why he brought the police in, though. That expresses his rage. Like, he could have just took a payout here, but he's so pissed about it that he wants to take them down, and he brings
He's like,
in
I guess
the
what
law.
I mean is like he's in like Danny Ocean mode where he should be like spitting venom and going nuts.
Well, I think that he's the fixer, right? He's the janitor. He's the guy that can respond, that can react to crisis in ways.
Yeah, he
that
deals
other
in
people
shit.
cannot. Right.
That's a good point.
And when so two points real quick, only because I'm on that moment when he's looking at the horses. I love that because you really get the sense that this is not something he ordinarily would do. This is not something that Michael Clayton would ordinarily do. He would not get out of his car and go walk up and look at these horses and feel like this moment. But it's the sunrise. It's just losing his friend Arthur. It's like all this stuff going on, and he's like contemplating life. And because he has that moment of contemplation, he survives. But his reaction is so quick. He immediately takes out his wallet, he takes out his phone, he takes out his watch, he throws everything in the car like immediately, because he immediately understands this is what happened. Any doubt that he'd already been in Arthur Eden's house.
That's the leverage.
Right, but at that point he reacts immediately because that's what he's trained himself more or less to do. So to me, it's not that he's not angry enough. It's that he is he's in control, because this is where he shines, is in the shit.
He's also wired, so it's kind of like a performance.
Yeah.
Wow. See, that is what I'm talking about, man. Like, what about his kid though? Is he thinking about his kid when he does that stuff? How much of that kid do we need in this film, and why does it bother me?
You don't like child
because it's a kid.
It's like I get the bit. Like, we grow up and we become jaded, and we become so adult-like, and our imagination disappears, and we forget about that childlike wonder. And that's why if we go read Realm and Conquest, we'll understand life again exactly as it should be, so that we can bust up a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. That's the key.
Arthur is he's still plugged into that kind of magicalness in life, so he's actually fascinated by Realm and Conquest.
The way he's curled up on the fucking bed talking to his son like that, like he's a child, and he's like, teach me, I am so lost.
And but he gets something from it, and which is what all that his kid Henry wants for Michael Clayton to do, is like, get something out of this. This is an important book. For Arthur, it's that sometimes we are summoned to do things that are greater than ourselves, and that's how he feels about himself, and he feels that way about Michael Clayton too. And it turns out that sorry, go ahead.
No, please give me the although, because mine was stupid.
I love that they do not end on a sweet note. Like, it ends with Arthur saying, or Michael Clayton says to Arthur, "I'm not your enemy." He says, "Well, then who are you?"
The longest close-up ever.
Well, that comes later, but who are you? If you're not my enemy, then who are you? Are you my ally? Are you with those that profit from death, or are you not?
Yeah, it's like someone who is free of an addiction looking at a junkie saying, I got out. Look at yourself, 17 years with this firm. You're broke. You're driving a company car.
Yeah. And
you have this incredible education. So what the fuck are you even doing? So we have two crises of conscience brought to a super satisfying resolution in the same movie.
Yeah, and the guy who's the stepdad, the new husband, and then the guy who's the liaison between like the mob or whatever for the restaurant
loan shark
deals. They all look the same to me. Yeah, they both look similar to me. I'm like, oh, it's that guy, and it's that guy. I know these character actors.
Yeah. Bill Raymond's been in fucking so much, and it's so weird to see him as like this mob enforcer guy, because usually he's just a soft and squishy dude. Very much.
It's so refreshing. We got no slick black hair and black leather jacket. It's just like a guy doing his job.
And they're like buddies. They're like friendly with one another. Yeah. And the actual guy that he borrowed the money from, I don't think we ever even hear his name. He's just like, oh, he's going to be pissed.
Right.
Which is, again, like, there's so much about this movie that's just not spoon fed to us, which I love that. I mean, we see in the beginning that he has returned to the table, and we're like, oh, throughout much of the movie, like, well, he's got a gambling addiction. He's been at the tables, but he actually has been good. He took that $5,000 extra from Marty, and he's using that, and he goes back to tables, but he plays 9 hands and he leaves. So he really does actually like, he's like coming through it. But the way
I don't think he played at all before that. That was my.
That's what I'm saying. No, I agree.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but like as you watch the movie, you're not really sure is he because he keeps on making these protestations. Like, I'm not off the wagon.
He's pissed about it.
My brother's the one that's a problem and all that. And so as you're watching the movie, at least me, I'm like, is he protesting too much? Like, has he actually been? Because we've seen him at the table at the beginning, but then as the movie unfolds, you're like, well, actually, no. It really does seem like he's been away from the tables for quite some time. Although you do realize that that's why he's not made partner, that's why he's driving a company car, etc.
That makes so much sense. This movie and the addiction angle is where I get hung up so much. I'm like, what's the point of having these addiction traits for these characters? The brother who's the drunk who fucked up the restaurant, and Clooney's the card addict, and then they're high on the hog. Clooney's looking down. Michael Clayton's looking down at his brother because he screwed him over. Like, he's better than. And then at the same time, like you said, he's strongly protesting when anybody brings up, like, oh, you at the tables again? You fucking up? You don't have any money? You haven't saved any money? You're 45 years old?
Right.
So, which happens with addiction. So this is where I actually think I'll give kudos to the film on this, because there are times where you really are doing well and you have to defend yourself. And there's also other times when you're deep in addiction and you're lying your ass off to everybody, but you are hardcore defending yourself. It all looks the same in the end. And I think there's some real connections here about how addiction looks and how certain challenges in society look like carcinogens. Like, you can't see them, but they're there and they're doing the same shit to you over and over again, no matter what day it is or how you feel or if you're sober or not. I don't know, there's some wild melding going on with this movie with these areas.
And at the end of the day, his brother is the only one he can really trust, which I love. Like, when the car blows up and he's got no one to turn to, it's his brother who he calls to pick him up. So whatever the fuck ups, whatever all that is, at the end of the day, he's still your brother and he's still the one you trust. Speaking of brothers, I mean, John Gilroy, editor of this film, the brother of Tony Gilroy. I mean, like, what a family of filmmakers. My God.
Dan Gilroy, Sam Gilroy's in this. He played the copy kid there at the print shop.
Oh, no shit. Another Gilroy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't blame Tony Gilroy for like being really precious about this. I mean, Pollock was trying to get it from him. You saw the executive producers on board, Anthony Minghella, and Steve Soderbergh, and Sidney Pollock. They were all wanted it. And he's like, hell no, dude, this is my baby. Like, I'm going to be directing it.
And any of the three of them would have done a good job.
Absolutely. But he's right to be precious about this script, man. Like, normally you either stick to one thing, you're very plot heavy and you don't know that much about the main character or his life, or it's the other way around. Here, this filmmaker somehow gives us so much about Michael Clayton himself. And also we've got a plot that's not boring or derivative or anything like that. It's just two really fascinating things. Like, it's such an enriching story, man. They teach it I guess they teach it in like script writing courses. It's that popular.
And Michael Clayton is such a fascinating character to me because on one hand, he begins as an enigma and kind of ends as an enigma, but also these layers are revealed throughout the film. You learn things about his past from dialogue, or about his personality from his actions and the choices that he makes. It's such a rich, nuanced character. And I also think, going back to your addiction point, Mike, I think that, like, in some ways, this stuff is also just kind of plugged in there because humans have these things. If you want to have realistic characters, you want flawed characters with real flaws that affect the plot and affect their lives. And that's what you have here. It's steeped in reality.
That's a great point, Travis.
Yeah.
It keeps it simple, but it's tried and true. And it's not cheesy, and it's not overwrought with any type of false tension in any way. That's well said.
You didn't roll your eyes at the horses? That wasn't too pretentious for you, Mike?
Oh, I thought it was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, this guy's in love with horses now, or like he's looking on, like, what does it all mean? I did not fast forward though. I did not fast forward.
Not even once during this movie, even though you've seen it before, you didn't.
Oh, I did. Yeah, not during that part, but I fast forwarded when they're chasing him. Like, it just keeps dragging on. Like, hey, we gotta get closer to press the button to blow up this car. I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, you're gonna blow this car up because we already saw the car get blown up at the beginning of the movie, so I know that's gonna happen. Well, that's not a surprise.
This movie does do what you were kind of criticizing Glass Onion for, in showing us one part of the film, and then going back later and contextualizing it in ways that you didn't know the first time you watched it. And I thought it was pretty effective here.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I watched this movie too, and I'm like, oh man, storytelling these days, like, does it matter? It doesn't have to be linear. I'm not a linear guy. Life's not linear. I get that. What do I need to know, and how impactful is it when I find out what it is? That's really what it's about. Like, why are you showing this to me now? I see a car blow up. Oh boy, something crazy is going to happen in this movie later. If we're going back to 4 days earlier, we're going to find out how we get to that point again. That's kind of blatant. And he didn't need to do that necessarily.
Well, I mean, partly as you're watching the movie, you might be thinking, well, maybe the car explosion comes because he's messed up with the mob, and there's this enforcer.
Oh, that's true.
He owes
I have
him
no
money
idea.
To. So that I think
it's strange, because I love the scene with Dennis O'Hare, and he goes to the mansion, the fucking slime ball. But you watch that, and like, normally in any other like movie like this, like, he is the miracle worker, and like, he blows us away with what he's able to pull off. But like, he goes there and he's like fucking like rude to the guy, even though he's like a major client, and he's like, I can't even do anything. Like, you're fucked. Deal with it. Like, it's so different.
Yeah, and there is no there is no champagne room. There's no getting around this. You hit a guy and drove off. What the fuck what kind of miracle do you expect me to pull here? But yeah, I agree. Dennis O'Hare is really, really kind of against cast here. Like, he's not usually that hardcore, and like playing some sort of rich, powerful guy, which I thought was cool. But also, yeah, I agree that opening sequence is, and I think he's digesting being called a janitor, because it's then that he refers to himself as a janitor. I think that so much of what you're seeing over these 4 days unfold is the dissolution of the life that Michael Clayton had built for himself. It's not just the restaurant that has collapsed, his exit. It's also, the ground that he stands on in terms of being this fixer or whatever, and whatever pride he has in himself. That there's also that sequence where his former cop friend is like, you got your lawyer friends convinced you're a cop, you got your cop friends convinced you're a lawyer, but you know what you really are. So you do feel like he is ambiguous about himself.
And it works for me, in my opinion, as an excellent story about value, having value in yourself and your own worth. Like, a lot of people make fun of the horse scene. They roll their eyes and they're like, hey, you got to throw this in there just to like try to seem arty or important. But I was tearing up watching it, man. It reminds me of someone who you've got Michael Clayton, who sees these majestic, noble, powerful animals that can do anything in the wild. Okay. And yet they have these harnesses on them, these nooses. They're tied down. They belong to someone. But at this moment, they're free. And that's Michael. He's free to make his own choices. And he has this history and this power in front of him. And it's a great moment for him to kind of act on that. It's beautiful.
I've never heard anyone make fun of that scene. Like I said at the start of things, when I think of the movie, that's the scene I think of, because I think it's a incredibly profound scene where we're not told what he's thinking, but we can certainly feel it, that he's contemplating life, etc. I think it's a really, really powerful scene.
I wouldn't roll up on some horses like that. They might run me over or stampede me. I'd be terrified.
You're not around horses much, have you?
Exactly. Well, I mean, like, I'm not, so I'm afraid. Like, oh, don't hurt me. That's what I'd be thinking. But then again, I hadn't been through like my best friend died and blah blah blah.
You don't want to roll up behind them. Roll up in front of them. So long as you don't roll up behind them and surprise them, you're kind of okay.
That's just my mom's
boyfriend. If I see 3 horses on a hill, I'm going to roll up on them, because then I'll be afraid that my car will blow up if I don't roll up on them.
Exactly.
Here we go. Coming in 2023, George Clooney in 3 Horses on a Hill.
How realistic? I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
It's gonna be a what do they call it? Oh shit! See,
miniseries.
I fucked you up. Sorry.
It's gonna be. That's gonna be the one that becomes 4. It's a precursor. What's the word?
Prequel.
I blew it. I ruined the. Yeah, it's a prequel. I ruined the joke. There's a new series coming out in 2023. 3 Horses on a Hill, a prequel to Michael Clayton.
I feel like I helped you ruin that joke, but maybe it wasn't that good.
Clayton Rising.
It would have been better in the moment. Clayton Rising. Yeah.
I was gonna say
Clayton Forever.
How realistic is U-North as a company?
Oh hell
right?
yeah!
The fucking
the
green leaf logo, the soil that when Arthur Eden's is like re-recording that thing and watching
So
that
good.
commercial.
It's
It's
so
The
I'm like,
seeds.
like, that's GE right there. We're looking at GE or Monsanto or whatever fucking company. Like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, we are poisoning the planet, and we're gonna sell you on the idea that we are good for the planet, and we're good for children, we're good for all this stuff. I thought that was just so convincing. Like, I'm just like, yeah, we're in reality now.
I love how the company, even the company itself, is a weed killer. It's a company that destroys things that naturally grow where they quote unquote don't belong.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, we're all complicit, folks. You're all doing it. I'm guilty. I've ruined everything. All right, final thoughts here, because we really got to wrap this puppy up here. Any notes we didn't cover? Any key notes there on your pads?
I want to say about Karen.
You can say it.
One of the was it Eichmann that they say that the evil is, but the banality of evil, right? Like,
Yes.
she's like the most banal evil character on film. I think she's just so believable in her evilness because she thinks that she's just ambitious and driven and all this stuff. So many villains throughout history, even ones I've loved, say like Bill the Butcher, literally has like a giant mustache he can twirl. So many villains have been so like telegraphing their villainy, but Karen she's just stepped right out of the world into that movie. Did Tilda Swinton deserve an Academy Award for this? I don't know, but it's an incredibly well-written villain.
Karen, why did you do that? Good fellas.
I wonder if they.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2007. Should I mention this? No, I'm on a roll so far. I'm not mentioning this. No, I'm going to keep this down.
Come on, you got to let it out.
Yeah, that's true. I'm supposed to be honest in 2023. I feel like this could get some flack today because we have Karen, who's this powerful woman in a man's world, trying her best all alone to do the best she can, and yet like she's just the most biggest like satanic evil bitch in this one. I think nowadays they might try to put something else in there to make us feel
actually,
something.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said this because having just watched Andor with no spoilers, because Gilroy wrote it too, so I'm making a connection here. He writes these powerful women who are power is power. It corrupts no matter what, breasts or no breasts, whatever the anatomy of your body is within it, you have the controls, you get the opportunity, you have ambition, you want to do things with your life, you want to please people, you want to make money, you want security. Gilroy writes these characters very, very well. A man or a woman, it doesn't matter who it is. You get the hands on the levers and the power control, and it just starts to happen before you even realize what you've done. And I think that's the key with Karen's character. And there's a character in Andor who's a woman. She's very strong in control. And it's very similar to that. He does a very good job of, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. We can all find ourselves in these same situations.
Dude,
but I see what you're saying.
Advocate too, man. Who could forget?
Right.
Wasn't the wine, Kevin?
Exactly.
That's right. Should have mentioned. There's this sequence in the film where the settlement is about to take place, and Karen is addressing all of the shareholders, or like the majority shareholders, and it's this one woman in her kind of like pinkish blouse. Yep. And talking to a room full of old white men, all in the same fucking suit. Sure. And I kind of wish that scene had been a little more emphasized in her aloneness there. And because I do think that there's something happening in the movie that they didn't quite want to get into with the fact that she's a woman in this arena. So I think you're kind of onto something, Eric, because I feel like that's partly why she's pushing herself extra. But I mean, she got the number for these hitmen from Jeffries.
Putting a coupon code murder
with a coupon code. So I do think it's made clear that she is not unique in this world at all, regardless of her sex.
Great point. All right, well, that's it. We got to come to a conclusion on what is known as Does It Hold Up? That's our final analysis that we do on the show. Who wants to go first? Anybody excited?
I brought it to the table, so I'll start it off.
Oh, yeah, we usually do that. Why don't you do that?
Yeah, I will do that. Again, as I said last week, part of me was like, I'm pretty sure this is going to hold up. But I really hadn't seen it in a long time. And I've got this ever-growing list of movies that I want to watch, and then I'll go to watch and be like, well, no, I'm saving them for the podcast. So mostly I just wanted to watch this fucking movie again, finally. And, as I said last week, I was fairly certain it was going to hold up, and I wanted more to find out. Does it hold up as a great movie? Not as a good movie, but does it hold up as a great movie? Does it deserve the acclaim? Does it deserve the hushed tones? Does it deserve does it deserve all of that? And it does. This movie absolutely holds up. I am calling for someone to remaster this film. I think it could benefit from a 4K retouching, but yeah, it absolutely holds up. It's a brilliant film. I wish we praised Clooney's performance a little bit more as well. I mean, he is top of his game here. So much bubbling underneath the surface every time he's on screen, which is almost every moment of the film. Just so well written. I can't believe that this is a first-time director. And I can't believe that he's done so little since in terms of direction. I mean, but I feel like after Andor and its celebrated status, that maybe we'll have a retake on Gilroy films, maybe, hopefully. So yeah, if you've not seen Michael Clayton in a while, I would recommend revisiting it for sure.
Gilroy, Mr. Gilroy, you're now up. Oh, that's well said, Travis. I'll go next. I think this movie has so much to say, which always kind of strikes me. I dig that. When a movie has a message, but it's not clear what that message might be, it can be convoluted and you can be looked at from multiple different angles. That's fun. It's interesting. It's entertaining. It's well written. It's outstandingly acted. There are very few holes. I wanted to poke a lot of holes in this movie. I really did for some reason. I really wanted to find the holes, and I don't think I could really do it. I feel like I'm always saying movies hold up these days, but God damn it, I can't just change my mind right now on this one because Michael Clayton is so well written, and you could tell that it was his baby. He knows a lot about this life. It's very obvious to me that he pays attention and he's connected and he's learned. I wouldn't. It's farcical and there's some fantastical elements, but there's a lot of true life elements in this film, which is frightening. It should be more frightening than any thriller or horror film you watch, folks. Like I said, that by the numbers disposal of Tom Wilkinson is incredibly frightening and terrifying. It's so unnerving. Michael Clayton, you definitely hold up. You're a rock solid film, and I could never say otherwise.
Yeah, man. If you haven't seen Injustice for All, the Arthur Penn Al Pacino movie, this would be a really good companion piece. Lawyer with a conscience. Also fantastic. Same kind of spirit as this, man. I tip my hat to Tony Gilroy, because him and Clooney, you know that they're fucking like beating it to China Syndrome and Parallax View and all these the Candidate, all these like 70s socio-political thrillers, and like this is such a great harkening back to those, man, especially that last shot where the credits are just playing over this man who's on his way to the next journey in his life. It's so layered, man. Like I'm watching it and I'm just wanting to just restart it because like, yeah, it takes a while to like kind of catch up and get into the rhythm of things. But we talked about how it's not spoon feeding its audience, man. And that's an intelligent adult film. Yeah. That's rare. So I really hope we see more stuff from this guy, not just as like a script doctor or whatever the hell he's doing. Yeah, right. It's fantastic filmmaking, man. It's just so rich to look at. And James Newton Howard's score is subtle. It does its job, but it's not what's that guy's name we always make fun of?
Terrence Blanchard.
It's not Blancharding over the proceedings. And it's got a career best easily performance by Tom Wilkinson. It was unjustly overlooked. My jaw was on the floor. I mean, how do you do that? Like, how do you get into that mindset and do that and be genuinely someone you're compassionate about as a viewer? He doesn't come off like a lunatic. He comes off as a sick man that I feel bad for. It's not easy. Yeah, it's a fantastic fucking movie. If you haven't seen it, believe the hype because it's unbelievable. Holds up completely.
All right, 3 holds up, which I figured was going to happen, but let's start the year off with a good movie. Why
sure.
Not?
Yay! It's a fine choice, Travis, and I think we can all learn a thing or two from one Michael Clayton, Esquire. He is an Esquire. It works.
He is. Yeah.
Yay! All right, there it is. cinema9pod@gmail.com. 5-star reviews. Like us. Subscribe. We're chaptering up our videos, so if you just want to skip to the end, we got chapters for you. If you just want to know how does it hold up, you can go right to it. It's marked for you. If you want to dive into the minutia of the critics, we got that for every video that we do as of recently. That's the best way I can describe it.
Okay.
Next week, yeah. Okay. Next week, it's alrighty then.
All
Eric,
right.
All right
Okay.
now. Eric Brandstrom, you're up next week. You're doing a film that we'll be doing a film, and you will select it. What will that film be?
It's a film that I'm actually going to dedicate to your honor, Mike, in appreciation of you pulling through COVID.
Oh, thank you.
Agent.
I've been saving this one for you, Michael. I wanted to make sure you cannot get sick again. I want no bullshit next week. Don't go to the casino. Don't put your money into any machines. I need you on time for this one. Because we're going back to 1992 for a ridiculous wild card. Remember last time I said I was going to pull out a wild card where you guys went with In Bruges?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even know how to introduce this one, man. But it was a big hit in the day, man. $49 million budget. Pulls in $352 million at the box office in 1992, but it's only known for a couple of offhand things and some jokes. But I think it deserves a look, man. From director Paul Verhoeven, a script by Joe Esterhaus.
Oh!
Basic Instinct.
Yeah. Woo!
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Wow is
that is a
right,
wild
dude.
card. Yeah.
Hey, maybe it's good.
Man. I don't know. I mean,
Been a long time.
I've watched this movie
I don't
many
think I
times.
don't think I've ever seen this.
Really?
Wow. Well, you definitely get to see it when you were a kid. So if you missed the period where masturbation was part of your teenage years and you just weren't able to be there, because I masturbated this movie a lot. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm very honest about who I am. It's okay. It's natural.
This has to be like Michael Douglas has to be in the 5 Timers Club for a leading role in a Cinema 9 Spotlight movie here with this one.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it'll be our 143rd episode, though, so it's also getting, the weeds are getting thicker.
Yes.
I don't know what'll happen. It's a bonkers choice, but this was a huge hit.
It was a huge hit.
I was rewriting my favorite directors list last week while I was sick, and Verhoeven's name was in the mix. I don't know if he's still in the top 3 or not, which we did last year with Brian
Said he was
Madison. We
number
talked
1.
about it. Did I say he was number 1?
Yeah.
It's very fluid because there's guys I love, and he's definitely in there. He's going to have a lot to say next week when we do Basic Instinct. What a shocking pick. This is This is definitely our most risque, sexualized.
We've never entered erotic thrillers on the show.
I don't think.
Porn. Let's do porn next time.
Can we poop shoot sluts? Remember that one?
Oh, come on. Man.
That's a real tape. That's a real tape. It's a real movie. You guys were there. Don't act like you never saw it. It was red. It was very strange. I didn't like it. I thought it was shitty. I would say it doesn't hold up. But
Is that a pun?
That's unintentional.
Gross. This
Well,
is just
guys,
going off the
What a way to
fucking
end the show.
Basic Instinct next week.
Basic Instinct.
I never saw the sequel.
Masturbation next week too.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that.
I'm sure we'll hear more about it.
I would love to talk about Basic Instinct too. I might have to go watch that just so I'm fully prepared. It's going to be fun. All right. Next week, we're doing 1992's Basic Instinct, a big hit financially. Eric is right about that. What a surprise. We hope you enjoyed our Michael Clayton show. Thank you, everybody. This is the Cinema 9 Pod. He's Travis. He's Eric. I'm Michael. And we'll see ya.
I got a quote.
Got nothing.